New Zealand is known around the world for its beautiful natural environment. We have a reputation for being clean and green, and our agriculture and tourism sectors thrive because of it. However, this reputation and our long-term prosperity is at risk through large-scale deforestation and the expansion of intensive industrialised dairy farming. Dairy farming is one of the most greenhouse gas intensive forms of land use, and this intensification will greatly accelerate emissions. Taken on the 4th of April, this footage shows the reckless conversion of forestry land to intensive dairy currently happening in the Tahorakuri Forest, northeast of Taupo in the central North Island. This is a familiar sight throughout New Zealand and is set to continue well into the future as the government-owned Landcorp has 455,000 hectares of forest earmarked for conversion. That's more than 7 times the size of Lake Taupo and will lead to a massive increase in our greenhouse gas emissions and deal a substantial blow to our clean and green image. As part of the Rainbow Warrior Target Climate Change Tour of New Zealand, Greenpeace took action against this double whammy on the environment. 30 volunteers from around the North Island replanted almost 2,000 native trees on land leased and recently converted by Landcorp to intensive dairy.
The problem with dairy is that agriculture is 49% of New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions. At the moment, dairy is the fastest growing sector in agriculture. The problem with what Landcorp is doing is that they're busy deforesting, converting to dairy, which is one of the biggest problems with greenhouse gas emissions in New Zealand today. What Landcorp is doing here by converting from forest to dairy is intensifying and expanding the problem. Farming is an important part of New Zealand's economy. But the way in which Landcorp, a state-owned enterprise, is going about it is an intensification and industrialisation of farming, which is contributing majorly to our climate change problem. What we need is environmentally sound and sustainable farming practices in New Zealand today. Well, the first thing to do is to halt the intensification and expansion of dairy farming, because that's causing major problems, in particular contributing to climate change. The second thing we have to do is ensure that agriculture is brought into the emissions trading scheme within the next 2 years. At the moment, agriculture is being let off for the next 5 years and then will be heavily subsidised by you, the taxpayer, up until 2025.
Our economy is reliant on a healthy natural environment, and this expansion threatens not only the climate through massively increasing emissions, but also through the contamination of our land and waterways. It also puts our clean green brand at risk, which could have serious ramifications for our international exports. Greenpeace will continue to target climate change and pressure the government to commit to an overall emissions reduction target of 30% by 2020 and halt the expansion of dairy farming, but we can't do it alone. Everyone needs to contribute to the emission reduction effort. Help play your part. Go to www.greenpeace.org.nz to see how you can reduce your emissions by 1/3.